Hi everyone, I'm Andy Neal and this is a Motion 5 in and out tutorial. Today I want to talk about replicators. Whenever I need to make a graphic which has multiple elements that are arranged in a specific way, I always try to see if I can use a replicator to do it, because replicators can make even complicated graphics and the animation of those graphics easy. Here's an example of what we're going to be making. It's an animated graph with sections that are all different colors and they fly in and spin to a stop. There's also a text that's written on each section as well. This tutorial will handle the creation of the graphic, and the follow-up tutorial will show you how to animate it using one of my favorite behaviors. Now, I'm beginning with a 1920 by 1080 project at 30 frames per second, but for this tutorial, it doesn't really matter what size or frame rate that you're using. I just happen to like 1080 because it's a nice big HD frame. Hit C on the keyboard to grab the circle tool. Then draw a circle in the canvas by holding down Shift and Option while you drag. Shift makes it a circle, and Option draws the circle from the center out. Make it a decent size. Then go to the Properties tab of your inspector and click this curved arrow to reset its transform properties. This is going to put it in the center of our canvas. In the Shape tab, deselect Fill and select Outline instead. Increase the width until you have a decent ring thickness. Let's name this layer Ring. Now we need to divide our ring layer into 6 equal parts. Do this by grabbing the Line tool down here and drawing a line through the circle. Hold down the Shift key and drag from left to right to create a horizontal line. Let's give it a different color as well so that we can see it better. Maybe an orange or something. Then hit F1 on the keyboard, which is the shortcut for the Properties tab, and click the Reset Transformation button to put it in the center of the canvas along with our ring. Hit L on the keyboard to make this line into a replicator. What I'm trying to do is to create a guide so that I know exactly how big my wedge needs to be. Go to the Shape parameter and change the pattern from rectangle to line. Select the X value for the start and then type in 0. Then tab a couple of times to get to the X value for the end and make that one 0 as well. This makes a line that's 0 pixels long, or essentially a point. One of the cool things that you can do with a replicator is to alter the angle of each cell by a certain amount to create more complex patterns. Go down to the cell controls and note these two parameters, angle and angle end. The first parameter adjusts the starting angle for all the cells. We don't need to do that, so just leave it at 0. The angle end parameter allows you to divide the angle of all the cells evenly between its starting value and the ending value that we're setting here. If I grab and drag this parameter, you can see the lines starting to spread out, but there's always an even spacing between each line. Go ahead and change this value to 180. This gives us 8 pie pieces, but I want 6. To fix that, just change the number of points in our replicator, which really means the number of replicated shapes. Change them from 5 to 4. And now our circle is divided evenly into 6 pieces. Like I said, this is just a guide for us so that we can easily see just how big 1/6 of a pie piece actually is. Select the ring layer. I want this layer to be above our guide replicator, so here's a real cool shortcut. Command close bracket moves the selected layer up 1 in the hierarchy, and Command open bracket moves the selected layer down 1. I use these shortcuts a lot because I'm always dropping layers in the wrong place if I'm just using the sort of click and drag method. Now that we have our guide, we can use it to shorten our ring to the right size. With the ring layer still selected, go to the Shape tab. At the bottom are 2 parameters, first and last point offsets. Drag a little on the first point offset to see how it starts trimming the ring. The ends are rounded because of these parameters here, so just change the start and end caps to none. Hit Z on the keyboard to bring up the zoom tool, and then click and drag in the canvas to zoom in to one section. Adjust the first point offset until the end is approximately in the middle of our guide. Then grab the endpoint offset and do the same thing for the other side. You may need to hold down Option while scrubbing these values. Holding Option slows down just how fast the values change. It's a way of getting more precise values. When you've got it set, hit Command-Z to fit our canvas to the window. Turn off our replicator guide, because we no longer need it, and select the ring and hit L to make our wedge into a replicator. Go to the Replicator tab and choose Line again for the pattern shape. Zero out the numbers, so once again we're using a point to base our replicator off of. Change the points to 6 because it's going to take 6 pieces to fill out our ring. And finally, in the angle end value, set it to 300, not 360. The reason we're using 300 is because the first 60 degrees is being taken up by our original wedge. The other 5 pieces only need to fill the remaining 300 degrees. What you should have now is our ring again, only this time it's made from 6 individual pieces. Now it's time to color our wedges. Go to Color Mode and change to Over Pattern. If you look closely, you'll start to see how each wedge is a slightly different color of blue. But it's not exactly what I'm going for. I want each piece to be a completely different color. To do that, twirl down the color gradient so that you can see these color tags. Right now there are only 2, but you can add many more if you like. However, before we do that, we need to change something first. Go down to Interpolation. Continuous interpolation means that the color will change evenly and smoothly between this color tag and this one. With the first color tag selected, click on the interpolation and choose Constant. What this does is maintain the same color until it comes across another tag. If I grab the second tag and drag it over, you can see the hard line of color that's between the two. Then I can add another color tag simply by clicking anywhere inside this little bar. I'll change this one to red. But notice that even though there's a solid line between the first tag and the second, there's still a gradient effect going on here between the second and third tags. This is just to show you that you can have different types of interpolations going on in the same color gradient. Click and drag the third tag off the bar to get rid of it. Select the second tag and change its interpolation to constant as well. Now, when we click in the bar to add a new tag, its default interpolation will be constant. Click in this bar until we have 6 total color tags. Then give each one of them a different color. It doesn't really matter what color you choose, just make sure that you can obviously see the difference in the wedges of your replicator. When you're done, each wedge should have a different color. If it doesn't, then fiddle around with the position of the tags so that the spacing is a little more even. Alright, we're almost there. The last thing to do is to add text to these wedges. Getting text to follow a curved path is actually pretty easy. Grab the text tool and type something in for your first wedge. I'm just going to type in first. Use an easy to read font. I've got Lucida Grande here, which looks pretty good. Hit Escape to set the text layer, and then go to the Text tab in the inspector. Give your text a decent size so that it'll fit inside the wedge. Click on the Layout button. Change the layout method from Type to Path. This tells Motion that you want the text to follow a path. Then down here in the Path options, click on Shape and change it to Geometry. In the Layers tab, grab our original ring layer and drag it into the source well. I can use the Path Offset slider to adjust the position of my text and to show you that it's curving around the shape of our ring. Place the first text in the middle of that top wedge. You may need to hold down Option again to fine-tune the position. One problem I can see is that the text is partially outside of the wedge vertically, but we can fix that by going into the Format section and adjusting the baseline until the text is sitting right in the middle. Once you get it how you like it, duplicate the text layer, and all you have to do is change the text in the Format section. I'm going to call this one Second. And then go back to the Layouts tab and adjust the Path Offset so that the new text is aligned with a new wedge. Alright, that's how you use replicators to build a graphic with repetitive elements. In part 2 of this tutorial, I'll show you how to animate it using one of my favorite behaviors.